So let me get this straight. Billie Eilish, worth over $50 million, lives in multiple mansions, probably has more security guards than a bank vault, gets up on the Grammy stage and screams, "No one is illegal on stolen land." Meanwhile, and you cannot make this up, she's currently fighting a man in court for trespassing on her property. She's got a restraining order against him. The cognitive dissonance is, well, absolutely exquisite. No one is illegal except when they step foot on my stolen land. Then we call the cops. But Billie wasn't the only one having a meltdown at the Grammys this past Sunday. Oh, no. This year's ceremony was basically a competition to see who could be the most politically insufferable. And folks, the competition was fierce. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Critical Nerd, and today we're diving into the absolute dumpster fire that was the 2026 Grammy Awards from this past Sunday. We've got Billie Eilish's hypocrisy, Trevor Noah potentially getting sued by the President of the United States, Bad Bunny using his acceptance speech as a political rally, and the absolute queen, Nicki Minaj, just, well, destroying everyone. But before we get into all that, I gotta say humbly, thank you. Thank you to those of you that have taken the time to subscribe to the channel, watch my content over the last couple of years since I started doing this. And, it's because of you guys that I actually do this. I like doing this. It's my release, we'll just say. And if you're new here, stick around, check out the video. If you like what you see, smash that like button, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you don't miss my next video. Because, what we do here is we cover all the Hollywood insanity the mainstream media either ignores or celebrates. And gotta say, there's plenty of insanity to cover. Also, leave a comment down below because YouTube loves engagement. Who do you think had the worst take at the Grammys? Was it Billie, Trevor, Bad Bunny, even Peter Dinklage? Who apparently wrote a poem. Yeah, a poem. I'll get into that. All right, let's break it down. Let's start off with Billie Eilish, who won Song of the Year. And instead of, thanking her producers, her family, her fans, she goes full political. And I quote, "No one is illegal on stolen land. Fuck ICE." Now, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Celebrities have every right to their opinions. Free speech is, well, it's a beautiful thing. But we also have the right to point out when those opinions are monumentally stupid and hypocritical. The stolen land argument is one of those things that sounds deep if you're 14 and just discovering Howard Zinn, but falls apart under literally any scrutiny. And by that logic, I gotta ask Billie, when are you gonna give your mansion back? Or when are you donating your Grammys to the indigenous peoples whose land your recording studio sits on? But here's the kicker. Here's where it absolutely is a beautiful thing. Billie Eilish, no one is illegal. Billie Eilish is currently fighting a man in court because he trespassed on her property. She filed for a restraining order. She called the authorities on someone who crossed onto her land without her permission. So, do you guys see the problem here? No one is illegal, but also this man illegally came onto my property. I need the government to protect me from him. Yeah. The internet predictably did not let this slide. Fans, and I use that term really loosely, started pointing out that maybe she should give up her mansions if no one can be illegal on stolen land. Maybe she should take down her fences, fire her security, and just let everyone in. After all, who is she to determine who can and cannot be on that land? But of course, she won't do any of that because these people don't actually believe what they're saying. It's performance. It's social currency. It's, I want to be applauded by my wealthy Hollywood friends without actually having to sacrifice anything. It's called rules for thee, not for me, the unofficial motto of Hollywood in 2026. Now, if Billie's moment was cringe, Trevor Noah's was just stupid, like legally stupid. Trevor Noah, hosting the Grammys, decided to make a joke claiming that President Trump visited Jeffrey Epstein's island with Bill Clinton. Now look, I'm all for comedy. I'm all for pushing boundaries. I'd like to see us bring good comedy back, stuff like George Carlin, Richard Pryor. But there's a difference between being edgy comedy and just making stuff up about someone. And Trump, being Trump, immediately responded. He called Noah a, quote, total loser and said he's preparing legal action. Now, will he actually sue? Well, who knows? Trump threatens lawsuits like I threatened to start going to the gym. But the fact that Noah even went there is just, well, and I gotta say, here's the thing about all this. The Epstein stuff is actually a very serious topic. There are legitimate questions about who was on those flight logs, who went to that island, but when you make a flippant joke about it, especially jokes that aren't even accurate, you're not being brave or edgy, you're just being an idiot. And notice how the joke only mentioned Trump as a way to soften, including Clinton. Oh, yeah, here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to say both names so it seems balanced, except one of those names appears on the flight logs multiple times, and the other one, well, it doesn't. But Trevor Noah isn't interested in accuracy. He's interested in applause from his Hollywood bubble. Good luck with that lawsuit, Trevor. Maybe you can joke your way out of that one, too. But wait, there's more. Because apparently the theme of this year's Grammys was, who can be the most politically obnoxious? Bad Bunny wins, goes up on stage and delivers an anti-ICE speech. And here's the beautiful part of it. The NFL, which is using Bad Bunny for their Super Bowl halftime show, congratulated him on Twitter. The same NFL that claims to be apolitical. The same NFL that supposedly wants to unite people. Congratulations, Bad Bunny, on your Grammy win. Meanwhile, Kid Rock and Lee Brice are doing a competing All-American halftime show with Turning Point USA because apparently we can't even have football without political division anymore. Then we have Peter Dinklage. Yeah. Remember I mentioned him earlier? And what did he do? He got up and recited a poem for Renee Good, the woman who was shot by an ICE agent after she hit him with her car. Blood blown like rose, iced wheels flinched and froze. Now look, I'm not going to comment on the quality of the poetry because I'm not a poetry critic, but I will comment on the fact that this situation, whatever you think about it, is being investigated, facts are still being determined, and Hollywood has already canonized this woman as a martyr. Oh yeah, he stomped his foot and walked off the stage in a very dramatic, we'll say very cringe fashion. Oh, and before I forget, I gotta mention Don Lemon. He got a standing ovation at the pre-Grammy Gala. Why, you ask? Well, because he was arrested for storming a Minnesota church during the ICE protests. In Hollywood, getting arrested for disrupting a church service makes you a hero. Let that just sink in for a second. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Because while all this was happening, Nicki Minaj was not having any of it. First, let me give you a little context here. The Grammy establishment apparently tried to make Nicki a target at the show. They tried to ridicule her for her support of Trump. And Nicki went absolutely nuclear. She posted, and I quote, "Any Christian who votes Democrat again is a fool." She referenced the Minnesota church riots and said, quote, "The demons inside of them are so bothered." Now, gotta say, that is a statement. And predictably, Hollywood lost its ever-loving mind. Billy Porter, you know the guy from Pose or The Hunger Games? He came out and said, and I quote, "Fuck her," with such eloquence, such nuance. But Nicki, she wasn't done. She then came out in support of voter ID laws. She posted asking why politicians are fighting against requiring ID to vote when you need ID to do basically everything else in life. And this is what I love about what Nicki Minaj has been doing here lately. She's not a conservative pundit. She's not a political commentator. She's a rapper who just asks common sense questions that apparently terrify the establishment. Why don't you need ID to vote? That's it. That's the question. And for asking it, she's being called a traitor, a sellout. All the usual slurs they throw at any minority who dares to think for themselves. Remember when Nicki asked questions about the jab a few years ago? Same reaction. How dare she ask questions? Doesn't she know she's supposed to just accept what we tell her? The woman attended Trump's crypto event. She's been to the White House. She's openly conservative now. And the more Hollywood attacks her, the more popular she becomes with regular people who are sick of being lectured by millionaires. Nicki Minaj is what happens when celebrities actually interact with their fans instead of lecturing them from ivory towers. She responds to people over on X. She engages with criticism. She doesn't live in the Hollywood bubble. And that's why they hate her. So there you have it, folks. The 2026 Grammy Awards, the night where millionaires lectured working class Americans about stolen land while living in mansions, where the host accused the president of crimes with zero evidence, where poets stomped their feet and walked off stages, and where the only voice of reason was Nicki Minaj. What a time to be alive, isn't it? The disconnect between Hollywood and regular Americans has never been more obvious. These people genuinely think they're the resistance. They think they're fighting the power. Meanwhile, they are the power. They are the establishment, and people are waking up to it. The Grammys used to be about music. Now it's just another platform for wealthy elites to virtue signal to each other while their ratings continue to crater. And they wonder why no one watches anymore. All right, so that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Who had the worst take at the Grammys? And are you Team Nicki? Because I got to say, I'm Team Nicki. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into Hollywood's ongoing meltdown. Until next time, I'm the Critical Nerd, and I will see you in the next one.